So I gotta come right out and ask you, you had a 3DO.
I did have 3DO. I got it for Christmas one year. I was very young. I had not very many games.
I was gonna say, like, 3DO was that kind of like mythical system that like you'd read about in the gaming magazines all the time, but I didn't know anybody about 3DO.
I've never seen one in the wild, to be honest.
I don't even know, like, was it CDs? Was it disc?
CDs. It was CDs. They were, the normal size CDs.
Okay.
Yeah, I had it was some sort of space game.
Okay. The only game I ever remember from that was The Horde, actually. And that was a game I'd see in the magazines all the time. And I think the only reason I was intrigued by it was because there was blood. But it's still, like, something about that game, like, stands out to me. Like, I think it was because there was blood, you could kill these things, but there was also, like, an action strategy hybrid. And, 3DO, like I said, that was before PS1, am I correct? Like,
Yeah.
I think just before. I mean, like, the big selling point, as far as I remember from, like, Game Players magazine and, like, EGM and stuff, was, like, the FMV. Like, FMV,
yeah, that's what I remember with The Horde, was they had, like, some corny, like, comedy sketches in between, and I wasn't at all intrigued by that. It wasn't until much later when, like, Wing Commander 4 came out and things like that, where the FMV thing really was appealing. But, 3DO, what were the controllers like for that?
Oh my gosh. It has been way too long. But what I do remember is like you said, the FMVs, it was really hilarious. They had this like space guy in a cheesy helmet. It's like watching an old cheesy movie. It was amazing.
No, I mean, like, I only ever knew of, like, niche titles for that. I can't really think of, like, the game that defined the system. All the ones I knew, like, the only one that, like, looked really appealing to me, and, it was just because it was, like, in the post-Doom era, like, the immediate post-Doom era, where anything that was first person and had violence was appealing, was I think it was called Killing Time. And it had this,
that sounds familiar.
It had this really, like, terrifying cover art. There was, like, this really intricately detailed image of this, like Cheshire grinning monster with, like, a bloody hook hand and, like, a spike for another hand. Then there was, like, an evil clown.
There were a lot of evil clowns.
There were a lot of evil clowns in the...
To be honest, like, one of the first PS1 games, like, we got into was Unloaded. I remember it had an evil clown.
Flank.
And again, that was another one where it was the blood element. Like,
yeah, I mean,
you're just drawn to violence at that age, formative years of, teenager, whatever, preteen.
I mean, the gameplay was dirt simple and Loaded. It was just, top-down shooter. Just run real fast and kill anything that gets in your way and collect keys.
Contra with more blood.
Yeah, but, I mean, the characters had personality, though. It had a lot of that 90s extreme quality to it. Like, everybody's super hyper-muscled, and then there's a random tranny character and like, dude with a steel trap jaw mouth. It's like, yeah, that's not straight out of He-Man or something. Like, that's...
When I had my Mortal Kombat on the Sega Genesis, that's everyone made a huge deal that, like, oh my god, it had blood.
Yeah, well, because Super Nintendo didn't get the blood unless you used the Game Genie, and even then it was just a palette swap. It wasn't... You couldn't do the legit fatalities. In fact, they replaced a few of them with some really corny ones. I remember, was it Johnny Cage puts his foot through their chest and they just kind of wriggle about and die rather than punching their head off.
I remember being incompetent at fighting games at that stage in my life, so I don't think I could pull off any of those except for Raiden's electrocution, where all you do is hold the one button for a long time and then he, shocks them.
Did you ever call there was like this like hotline that you get charged? And you would call up, and it would be like, I don't know, I think it was like the fatalities or the special moves and stuff. You call them up, and then it'd be like, down, down, up, down, down, left.
Oh, I'm sure it was the pre-recorded one, too, where they're charging you by the minute. And they're like, down,
down, up.
Down, up.
Yeah, and then, the operator's in the back pulling his hands like he's got taffy between them, going, stretch, stretch.
No, see, we had the Nintendo hotline, actually, and it was free in Seattle area for a long time.
Wow. Was it?
Oh, yeah, so I remember, actually, I spent a lot of time calling that, and sometimes even just to ask general questions about gaming. It was pretty funny. It was a pretty cool tool, actually, for back then.
I remember you being like the middleman. I remember your friends calling the house to call you, to tell you to call the Nintendo people to help them with their game.
Well, that's what happens when you're the token Asian kid amongst your friends.
He's good with numbers and phones and gadgets.
It's the same thing dads always use this, like, read this manual, I need to know how to use this power saw, but I refuse to do it on my own. But yeah, I mean, Nintendo Hotline, that's where I remember calling him and asking a lot, because the blood thing was controversial, where that was a big deal with Mortal Kombat. I was really excited for that one to come out, because that was kind of a mythical game when it came out in the arcades. Like, that was always one the older kids were always hoarded around it. There was super violent, like, you'd see glimpses of these fatalities, so then you go to the schoolyard and everyone makes up their own bullshit. Trying to lie. Like, I remember at one point somebody said Shang Tsung had, like, a machine gun, and he would, like, shoot your face off, like, if
there was also, like, even like the legendary stuff, that's the stuff that, like, you talked about in the lunchroom, like Ermac.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that actually ended up getting implemented into the game later on.
Yeah, I mean, like, all the fighting games back then, like, had their own little secrets. Like, it was a glitch, but the guile handcuffs. And, what was it? You must defeat Shenlong to stand a chance. That was one of Ryu's win quotes in Street Fighter 2. And I remember, I think it was EGM, they put out a really clever April Fool's article where it was it was like a whole, like, 2-3 page article about the character Shenlong, who Capcom had no plans of creating or had no plans of referencing. And, lo and behold, we get to Street Fighter 4 and, they make Gulken, who is that character. It's funny how that shit works out sometimes.
Well, I mean, it's still going on today. You see it all the time with message boards and things like that. Where, that's where it's really cool, like, when you see developers actually just kind of saying fuck all of that and just doing their own thing. Or at least that's, I got the sense, I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but the new Kojima trailer that just came out. Yeah, like, seeing that was just such a nice feeling of just being like, thank God, I have no fucking idea what this is, but I need to play this game, because...
Well, it's Kojima. You know, I mean, like, Silent Hill was, like, huge, like...
Oh, the PT or whatever?
Well, no, I mean, like, just growing up, like, the first one blew my mind. It was amazing. I mean, looking at it now, it's, like, awful, sort of. But, in its time, it was scary.
Well, I would say it was kind of like very similar, actually, going along with what we were just talking about. Like, there was Street Fighter and there was Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And Mortal Kombat was the more edgy one, and Street Fighter was kind of the more comic booky one. And that was Resident Evil and Silent Hill, at least to me. It was Silent Hill was actually, like, if you were into horror flicks and things like that was legit terror. Whereas Resident Evil was a little corny, and when you got scared, it was because shit jumped out at you and you weren't expecting it. It wasn't because of the atmosphere. If anything, the atmosphere took away from a lot of it, especially the horrible voice acting.
No, anytime anyone opened their mouth, even in the remake, the GameCube one, I just remember Chris going, "Whisker, you son of a bitch."
I think Barry Burton had some of the best ones too.
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
In fact, that actual, like, the FMV opening to that one is still one of the funnier, like, horror things I've seen in a long time, even though it blew me away the first time I saw it. When you think about how cheesy it is, like,
don't go.
Silent Hill required, like, it relied more on, like, suspense. It was like the combat was garbage. Like,
absolutely.
You can't fight it, and you're not actually going against, like, hordes of enemies. And there's not so much, like, jump scares. It's just you don't know what's going on.
The atmosphere and the lighting and stuff, and the camera angles in that game, especially the first one.
In like, environments, like, relying on that, what is it, the air raid siren?
Oh, yeah. Every time you go into
changed,
the other world.
Like, that will always stick with, like, me and my older brother.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, Silent Hill really was just kind of... That was a game series that, like, I always wanted to play. Like, I loved reading about it anytime I'd see it, like, mention, like, a new one released or whatever. And I've always, like, had this fascination with it and really want to go back and play them all. Probably will someday, but much further down the road, because it's a daunting task because of a lot of those things. It's kind of like I'm playing Demon Souls now, and that one you have to kind of rethink how you play games, because a lot of it is slowly trudging along and not just charging in and killing everything you see. Like, you actually have to think about what you're doing. And I remember that's when I played Silent Hill, that's very much how I felt.
It did not hold your hand. Like, you got hit like three times, and you're dead.
I mean, a lot of the puzzles were really like archaic and bizarre, and I remember, I think it was the elementary school. It's pretty early in the game, and I remember like I was just the right age where it like hit me especially hard. Where like Japanese horror, a lot of it has to do with like lived-in environments, and they do that very well. Where they make places that you normally inhabit in your daily life scary in unexpected ways, and it's like, I'm in a school and I'm fucking terrified. And I remember the game actually gave me pause. Like I actually set down the controller and was like, I don't think I can do this right now. I'm gonna go upstairs and ask Mom to make me some food.
Yeah, that was a game you had to play with the lights on, I feel like. I mean,
yeah, I mean you don't do scary, right? Like
I don't mind scary. I like cerebral scary. That's why I've always been intrigued by it.
Suspense.
Like there was that one terrible game came out much later. I think it was Xbox, where it was the first person one where you were a detective, and all you could do was punch and hit stuff with like a stick. And they made a sequel much later. I think it was more of a shooting game. The name of the game is escaping me right now, but I just remember like that game. There wasn't much gameplay. It was actually pretty boring, but it had such a great atmosphere to it that like you really get drawn in. Yeah. That I love. Like I like scary movies where you have to think about them, where it's all in your head and you're just waiting for that thing to get you. Not the shit you see now where it just jumps out and freaks you out just because it popped in your face. And
it's one of those things that's really kind of being lost, I think, with the jump scare and the gore and like the fangs and the blood and the dripping. It's just that suspense is.
I think we're seeing developers take two very distinct paths right now, because right now like the visual fidelity of games is so incredible that it's like you have all this horsepower and you have this need to flex your muscles. It's like I can put whatever the fuck I want on the screen. I can scare the pants off these kids like by putting whatever I can dream up on the screen in full 4K glory. That's like, why not do that? Because you have the tools available to you. But at the same time, you have all these indie developers who don't have all the money in the world to work with, putting out all these more psychological type products. Like there's one called Layers of Fear that I guess it's like a art gallery horror show where very short game, very linear. It's just like a spook house, but it's all very like intentionally paced, where the creator's intent is fully on display. And there's a surprisingly large number of these like niche indie horror titles popping up, and I think it's because of the lack of tools at their disposal, where it's like they don't have the money to put whatever the fuck they want on the screen, so they have to find other ways to engage you. And I mean, filling in the blanks in your own mind is part of what makes psychological horror more effective usually than jump scares.
Going back to the schoolyard thing we were talking about, like that was Resident Evil 1 for me. Was the scariest part of that game was there was this girl I went to middle school with who played games, and she had this way of speaking where she'd say something really fast to begin her sentence and you wouldn't always pick up on it. And so like she'd always begin a sentence with these hypotheticals by saying, that'd be cool. Like, I can't even replicate it. It was so fast. But then she'd just start talking out of her ass some crazy shit. Like, yeah, that'd be cool if there was a mom zombie and a baby zombie comes out and, like, then the umbilical cord chokes you out and you die. And me and my buddy who were playing this game, like, we would get together and we'd turn the lights off in the basement and we'd play this game in the dark to add to the atmosphere. And we were waiting for this shit to pop out because we believed what she was saying really was going to happen. And that was the scariest part of the game, like,
anticipation.
And I do have to credit them, like, I made fun of the FMV movie at the beginning, but at the same time, what I will say with that is that was good, like, filmmaking in the sense that they had a limited budget, and rather than try to blow it all on making a creature, which most games would do now, I think, they would emphasize the zombies. Or you actually don't see anything. You see, like, a dog mouth. And everything else is just really indie filmmaking. That part is pretty cool.
Well, I mean, in retrospect, like, when that game came out, I was, 11, 10, something like that. So I was just the right age to be genuinely terrified of a lot of the imagery, a lot of the atmosphere, especially, like, the first floor mansion music in particular sticks out to me as, like, particularly foreboding and effective. But, like, looking back on it now as an adult, in some ways that FMV almost like sets the stage. It like sets the tone where it's like, this is a B movie. Like, this is meant to be fucking stupid.
Right.
And, you know, if you enjoy it as a horror product, great. If not, then maybe you'll enjoy it as schlock. And I do now. And I think everybody in this room does now.
Well, like, things like System Shock.
Oh,
where it's like,
this is your realm.
You're like really limited on like what you can do. It's like storytelling and just like why was System Shock so scary and thrilling? It was just a picture of a lady's face with wires in green color.
Yeah.
Like that's the best they could do, and it was all about storytelling. And yeah, so it's just like limitations like that really
I haven't actually
make it necessary.
I haven't actually played it, but I remember like everything I've ever read about always point to sound design and
like the voice the voice acting of the what do they call her, the lady the lady AI, I don't know. But yeah, it's like you had to.
Well, it's not just that, but like the environments, like the creatures stalking the halls and stuff. Like I've always read about it being cited as like a very good example of good sound design being used to creep the shit out of you.
Oh, you didn't see it.
And when you do see things, it's like, it looks like garbage because it's an old game. Actually, funny enough that you bring it up, but I guess they're doing a HD overhaul of it right now as we speak.
Oh, wow.
A demo just came out recently. So there's a lot of enthusiasm behind it because System Shock is definitely a beloved game. I haven't played it, but it definitely seems to have earned its reputation.
Oh yeah, the really old stuff like I have no mouth, but I have to scream.
I must scream.
Yeah.
I bought that on GOG not that long ago. GOG. I plan on enjoying that.
It's really good. I mean, I prefer System Shock for sure. Yeah. I would say play that one first, but
it's funny, those old like DOS games, like I don't even know if DOS is an accurate description, but like a lot of those point and click adventure games that we used to play, something about like the music and the janky animations like somehow makes them scarier. Like it's like crappy MIDI music. It's like so crappy. It's like complete garbage, and yet somehow it's like, oh my god.
I think some of it's the lack of control you had. Was just because like you kind of like sending these idiots off to their fate, and part of that is the janky like movements and stuff. Like I just remember like King's Quest doing it all the time. It's like, oh my god, this guy's like a moron trusting you to like help him find his way or whatever, and then you just click on something and you just send him to his doom, and you can't help but feel like an asshole. Like,
whoa, it was like I didn't have to click that, but I did. Like, oh, King's Quest 5. I mean, I don't know how many of those ones you guys have played, but that's the one that always sticks out to me.
King's Quest. I don't think I like played them. I definitely saw them. I was aware of them, but I don't think I played them.
Did you play many point and click adventure games?
Oh yeah, I mean, when you were a kid, that's okay. So like my I think my dad at the time like had a computer, and that's what you played, point and click.
What one would you say was like your favorite?
Ooh. Well, I mean, I was pretty young, so it's been a minute. But I would probably say, what's that one? Probably something like System Shock or something like that. Just the basics.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up with a lot of the LucasArts ones, like the Indiana Jones one was fantastic.
State of Atlantis.
There was also Sam and Max.
Sam and Max hit the roof.
I never actually completed it, but what was the other one? The Dig was the big one.
Fucking Loom, where nobody could get anywhere because you have to like pay attention to the puzzles and shit.
And then there was
one I hated was Myst.
I was just going to say this was the most pretentious garbage in the sense that like nobody really knew what they were doing in it. Nobody could really get that far into it, but everyone had to have it because it looked pretty.
Yeah.
And it was artful and tasteful, and so everybody would just kind of play it to impress people if they were over.
I remember my grandmother had it. And I think it was just one of the few she had on it, and that she played. But she had like a notebook that was full of notes and like numbers. Like I remember looking at it, going, "What in the world is this?"
See, that's actually funny though, because that's probably actually how you were supposed to play that game.
Yeah,
it's just we were all just young
mind-boggling.
asshole kids who you just click everywhere on the screen until something happens.
No,
like,
that's like a lost art. That, I mean, I wasn't there for it. I don't think you were either, Matt. But like PC gamers, like a lot of the old guys, the old guard, they have their merit badge in like note taking and map making. Like that's a feature of old PC gaming that seems to have died out. But I mean, there's so many fucking hipsters out there. I'm sure they're gonna bring it back. Where it's like, if you want, there's a JRPG for the 3DS that you can use the touchscreen to draw your own map.
Oh wow!
I forget what it was called, but it's like a dungeon crawler where that's.
I remember. Whenever,
it's like Ultimate Underworld kind of.
Whenever you had a game at the back of the
notes.
It said notes, and like especially if you rented things at Blockbuster,
if
you
it had
always
the manual,
check the notes.
Yeah,
if it had the manual.
If it had the manual,
I was never had a manual. Was so rare at Blockbuster.
But I would always look at the notes, and it was like, it's like a tradition, to see what other kids wrote. Usually it's nothing special.
Usually it was like a bullshit Reddit comments or whatever, where it's just like, you suck. And it's like, oh, thanks.
F
like,
you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, it's like Demon Souls, like what you were just talking about not that long ago. I think that's part of why that game really took off, or that franchise, rather. I mean, you haven't seen the online portion of it, but you can leave notes for each other. And you can intentionally disseminate like disinformation if you feel like it. So you can actually like write notes on the ground for other people to read, and it's just like opening up the instruction manual and reading the notes of the other kids that rented the game. And I think it strikes a chord with a lot of those old school people.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't really remember the map making element too much. Like that was definitely something that was happening before.
No, that never touched our household, but I've certainly read lots of accounts of stories like that where you would have these games that would have these really arcane puzzles that were meant to beat the crap out of you and basically impede your progress, like intentionally meant to frustrate you, basically.
Now, if I recall the Kojima, that demo he made for the Silent Hill game, that was supposed to be kind of like that too, wasn't it?
I love it.
It was supposed to be just kind of designed to make you infuriated with trying to figure out what you're doing.
I don't think me or my brother have actually played that. I remember you were like obsessed with it.
Oh,
like you want to expound on that?
It was just okay. So Silent Hill for me is like one of those timeless like games. And so anyway, PT comes out and it was real hush hush. It was like it didn't really like you weren't beat in the face with it. It was kind of like I just kind of heard of it and I was like, oh wow, from like a friend or whatever. And so it was like oh my gosh. But yeah, you go down this hallway and your hand's not held or anything. It's just like you go through a doorway and you go through a doorway and you end up at the first one again, and then it's just one of those things where you have to like figure out what you need to do next to continue down this path.
Okay.
And it's usually like, and it was like simple things like looking at a picture for more than 3 seconds and then you'll hear a giggle. And then like, but yeah, it was like really like a lot of kind of jump scares and thrilling scares where you had to like walk down a hallway. But down this hallway, as you walk, like the light will dim. And it's like thrilling. It was really amazing, and it was really a shame that it was canceled.
Oh,
well, it sounds like they're going to make up for it with what is it? This new one he has, Dead something.
Dead.
Or...
See, I haven't actually seen what you're talking about.
You'll have to see it.
Yeah,
I know Kojima like founded a new company,
his own thing. Yeah, which is amazing because they were like jerking him around apparently.
Oh yeah, Konami's a shithouse at the moment. But that's a story for another day.
But yeah, I was really excited that he made his own like thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a stupid thing to throw out there, but I really like his logo. I really like the logo. It's pretty.
Is it like a skull with
It's
gears?
like a skull wearing like a robot Spartan helmet. It's cool. I think it's the same artist that did all of Kojima's games, basically, like Metal Gear and Zone of the Enders and all that business.
Yeah, but yeah, Kojima's just like a master of like, you don't know what's going on. Like,
I don't know that he knows what's going on.
Yeah, I get the sense that a lot of that is just kind of made up on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, Metal Gear Solid 2 in particular kind of felt like kind of like a kitchen sink affair where it's just like, oh man, I was like, we could put so much data on this DVD format. We got to put videos in there. It's like, we got to fill it with stuff. It's like I'm gonna read some CIA documents and just like go on the Joe Pesci rant from JFK and just, like conspiracy theories, tinfoil helmet.
Yeah, I mean, Metal Gear is a fascinating one though too, because that was a great example where you see like innovations in gaming where it became more accessible the further along it got.
Well, I think that's actually part of why Konami freaked out on him, is because he was pushing the envelope too far. Like he was saying, hey, we need to build a new engine like every game, basically. It's like, what? We need to make a new physics engine, a new graphics engine, everything?
Well, but I think that's actually like what makes games interesting, because the tendency in that industry is so often you just find a model that works and you just keep bringing out the same shit every year.
Oh, absolutely.
With different levels. And yeah, I mean, that's really what's been going on. So, I mean, it's been nice. Like, I remember playing the last Metal Gear, and actually, like, it was really nice. It was easy to just sneak up on guys and choke them out, versus, like, in the older ones, that took a lot of skill, and it was super frustrating.
Yeah, you had to run up to them, you had to plant your feet, then you had to mash the button, but if you were moving when you press the button, you'd just, like, flip them on their back, and then they'd get up, and they'd...
Yeah, and then you fucked up everything, and then you're screwed, and that ruins all the fun of, like, being this stealthy ninja guy. And, I mean, you were talking earlier about Diablo, and, I was explaining, like, the reason I didn't care for that game was that the engine at the time, it made you weigh your gold and all your equipment. And I've just found that incredibly frustrating, like constantly having to get midway through a level and then run back up, drop everything, because I'm a hoarder in all those games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, absolute worst. Like,
I got to get all the green ones, all the blue ones.
Yeah, like Fallout's the death for me now. Just, it's like, oh, garbage, good. I can do something with this. At least they finally made it so you can use the garbage, but...
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, Diablo... It filled a need of that, like, that old, like, dungeon crawl where it's, like, gritty and like, oh, I want to upgrade my sword. I want it to be the Lord's great sword of destruction, and yeah, so. Well,
a lot of the games that you've brought up, like, a lot of them have, like, atmosphere is kind of like a key to their success.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, we were talking, like, off the mic about Diablo and about how the atmosphere seemed to just get like a bright shiny pastel light just got shined on the franchise post Diablo 2, where just like all the grit and all the like texture to the game just kind of
it was all painted very pretty in 3. It was one of the most just stabbed me in the heart, but throw a little Spanish guitar and some dirt and the devil himself on a game, and I'm like, oh my god, I love this. But plus the characters, like Kane, Deckard Kane. I loved it.
Stay a while and listen.
That stuck with me for a long time.
It's fascinating though that as we're talking about this, like, it dawns on me that, like, that element you were talking about, like, upgrading your equipment and all that, like, to me, I've never really gotten that as much. Like, I try to fly through games as quickly as possible. Like, I'm that asshole that when I play, like, first-person shooters or where I find the best gun, that's the only one I use. Like, I just say, that's me in Fallout, that's me in everything. It's just whichever thing gives me the best stat bonus I'm good with. But that whole upgrading concept, I played a lot of sports games. Mm-hmm. And with those, you could build franchises, and you'd have like different stats, and you can bring in different players to fill needs. And that was kind of how I'd fulfill that kind of niche of just like wanting to upgrade something and make it the most maximum possible and just destroy your competition.
Build it brick by brick.
Well, yeah,
I mean, exactly.
I've referred to you, Orion, before as a tinkerer. It seems to be something that's very near and dear to you when it comes to, like, if there is a customization element to the game, you will exploit it.
Yeah.
See, that's so fascinating because I'm the total opposite. I wear the most boring armor with the best stats, the best gun, and I run through the game as quickly as possible.
It isn't yours. It's whatever is the best. There's no sense of ownership.
See, for me, it's. I try to make everything mine unique. Like one of my favorite genres is kind of the mech game. One of my favorite all time that I spent ungodly amounts of time on is Armored Core. Armored Core was just a numbers game, but the thing was, almost, I wouldn't say unlimited, but a lots of different possibilities, and it made it yours, and it was to your play style. And yeah, you would get the what is it, tips and tricks.
Yeah,
Tips and tricks. Yeah. They would have people mailing in their builds, and so people would take time to actually just do that. And it was, that customization and stuff like that is something I really, really like.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you've translated that onto MechWarrior now.
MechWarrior Online, yeah. I play a very, very strange build. It's so strange that people will stop and take time to type and be like, what is that? What are you doing? How did you do that? Because I play one of the lighter mechs with one of the biggest weapons available, and no armor. I stripped all my armor, and I have the biggest engine. And I play a sniper, so it's glass cannon. It's all skill based, and it's definitely not the meta. But I, more often than not, are one of the last people standing, and I do some of the most damage just based on how I play.
I've seen you play. You tear into them, and yeah, it's a really unconventional build. But like you said, it's yours. You took the time to not only discover it, but you also crafted it yourself.
Yeah, I play with it's like a radar jammer, EM, what is it called? ECM. The ECM with different modules that complement my build, and it's really made it mine.
That's so funny to me. That's so the total opposite. I remember playing Rock and Roll Racing, and I always picked Olaf, which is the stupidest looking racer in that game, just because he had the best stats.
Space Viking.
Yeah, I mean, I hated that game.
I love that game.
It was overrated.
It definitely was, but it was just like RC Pro-Am or something, but just,
Oh, no, I loved Rock and Roll Racing. I meant the Lost Vikings.
Oh, yeah, Lost Vikings. Especially when you try to play it 2-player and your teammate is your idiot younger brother. And
I'm pretty sure I chewed you out pretty good for that.
Yeah, you would only let me play Olaf. So all I was allowed to do was stand in front of hazards and serve as a footstool for you. And you're like, no, I got this. You're like, no, you play Olaf every single time.
Well, because this is my role as the older brother, just to convey to you that, I need to beat you down so you can be prepared to face the world. I need to make you feel like crap, and then, eventually you can ascend and try to challenge for the throne later.
Absolutely. As an older brother myself, I see that completely. Me and my little brother, we played Diablo 1 on the PlayStation, which is it's kind of weird to even, nobody ever has played that on the PlayStation. But one of my favorite things was me and him, we could play it together using 2 controllers, and we could fight together. And it was one of the few games, even less now, but one of the few games at the time you could do that. And it was really a bonding moment, but I also gave him a lot of crap.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a stat-based action RPG with a lot of loot and stuff. You're gonna spec his crap for him. And, you gotta maximize your DPS. Go!
My favorite was the argument over the health. It was always a fight over the health.
Fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Who needs the pizza?
Who needs the pizza? Oh wait, I already stepped on the pizza. Sorry.
Oh, my bad.
Knights of the Round.
Oh, I need all the gold. It's why? Because I need it.
Because my guy will look cooler if he upgrades, and you're playing as Percival anyway. So
nobody likes Percival. Except for the fucking FAQ whores, all the hipsters that write those game FAQs and stuff. Apparently, I did some research a few years ago. Apparently, despite being the fucking hideous, stupid character, Percival's actually the best. But
It's usually the case.
yeah, no, it's like if you actually want to get into the technical details of Knights of the Round, like apparently Percival is the go-to guy.
No, I think one of my favorite things was like playing. We would play when we had the Xbox, the first one, which what I would call the Xbox One. However, they already made a one and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So the first one,
Okay, the first Xbox.
we played me and my little brother, and my older brothers was Halo,
Okay.
and we put it on Legendary. Well, me and my little brother, we put it on Legendary, and we tried to beat it on Legendary. And it was one of those big bonding moments, and it became a tradition. We did it for 1, 2, and 3, and then I think we stopped eventually. However, but
You stopped when Bungie stopped.
but him taking so much of my crap, he is now like one of the most impressive first-person shooter players. Like, he's better than me, like, easily.
I was about to say, like, you kicking him around in Diablo, that you set him down a path.
I sent him down a path of it's scary now.
I had that moment with him, actually, when I went down the basement and saw him playing through Super Contra.
Oh.
And I think you could beat it without dying.
Yeah, Contra 3 on Super Nintendo.
Yeah, when I saw that, it was just like, oh, what have I done?
I've created something. It's awful.
Because, yeah, it was years, because that's the whole thing. It's like, I would always just take the most direct path to complete the game. For me, it was just complete the game, because I grew up in that Blockbuster era where you get to rent a game for the weekend. You have 48 hours to beat this before you have to return it. Otherwise, you're going to get late fees, and the old man's going to be pissed. So, that was always just like, how can we beat this game as quickly as possible, or at least see the most of it so I feel like I got my money's worth.
Yeah.
But Trevor actually learned how to, go about and observe and see tendencies and sometimes approach things slower. And, I have none of that. I possess no patience for games. I charge into things and constantly die and get pissed off and then, charge back in and do the same thing over and over. Then I look online and figure out how I can beat something by cheating. But
oh, no.
Well, I mean, you got a lot on your plate, and you're on, Assassin's Creed 2? And you're trying to work your way through the franchise?
Oh, no.
I think I've given up on that. I'll probably beat the second one because pretty much any game I start, I try to finish now. But
yeah, I think it would be wise to abandon that journey.
Well, because that's officially entered that realm we discussed earlier, where it's just every year you get a new palette swap, some new levels, and it's just no longer intriguing. I think the only reason I even got interested in it was the Native American one looked really cool. Kind of got swept under the rug there, it seems. Yeah. But
it seemed like that one, they started really early making the next one. Which was like the pirate one. Because a lot of the elements of the pirate one was in the Native American one, which is kind of odd. Because it really seemed like shoehorned in there. And then when I saw that they made the pirate one, I was like, oh.
They were working on both at the same time.
That makes sense. And
also,
I think
more resources in the pirate one.
I think the new console had just come out too.
The next gen systems were coming out.
But it was the Native American one, like you said, was the most fun was the boat scenes.
No,
which was kind of awful. I felt bad.
The parts that they built for the other game.
Yeah. Because I enjoyed the boat more than the actual game. Because it was like, what was it? Like wolves and stuff? I don't know. The boat was where it's at.
The historical aspect of it, like for me, and I'm pretty sure you too, Matt, that was most of the selling point for the third one. It's just like it's uncommon to see stuff exploring the American Revolution.
No, that's 100% it, and just it's cool seeing like a native character, and that's fun.
It's
I'm
atypical.
Much more excited about that than playing as some Italian guy.
Yeah, other than like Turok and the guy from Prey, the ornery native guy in the biker bar or whatever.
I don't even know that one.
I can't. Well, T-Hawk. The natives are kind of represented in gaming.
We are definitely the most underrepresented people out there for sure. I think we got the dude from Mortal Kombat. What was
Oh, Night Wolf.
Night Wolf, which is
It's just, I feel
definite
so awful
stereotype.
as you're saying these all out loud and just like picturing him, and it's just like, really? Oh,
well, there was
He's got the open chest jean jacket. What about T-Hawk? Well, he's got the open vest jean jacket.
Well, yeah.
What about Turok? Well, he's got the open vest jean jacket.
What about the fighter from Power Stone on the Dreamcast?
Did he have an open
He
vest?
had an open and cut off jean shorts.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I should be wearing right now.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's horrible.
yeah, that's absolutely terrible.
We can get away with this. Orion is part native.
To be fair, though, I
Just
will
so you
say,
guys know.
Just so you know.
if I recall, he was at least half decent to play as. Because I think the most infuriating part is that T-Hawk is a garbage character. Night Wolf is a terrible character. Nobody ever picked these
You
guys.
can
Like
get some
Night
good
Wolf,
juggles out of Night Wolf on 3.
Yeah,
Night
he
Wolf
had-
existed to get fatalityed by other people. Like,
yeah.
I mean, there was a reason you almost always got to fight him first. Like, he was a garbage character.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, he had the fucking axe uppercut thing where he like hits them
Hits
with,
you in the air.
He hits you with like the top of the axe. Like he doesn't hit you
Hits
with
you
the
up.
He doesn't hit you with the blade. He like uppercuts you with it. It's like, what are you doing?
Wow.
Natives and gaming.
It's definitely one of those stereotypes that just kind of still exists. Like there's not enough people to speak out against it. It's just like there it is.
Well, and in video gaming in general, that's been a constant thing where they just rely on stereotypes and
Oh, for
generalizations to just kind of fill in these roles for characters.
Yeah.
I mean, mainly, I think, coming from Japan to start off with, and then...
Yeah. Coming from a homogenized island nation doesn't exactly give you the best perspective on other cultures.
Yeah, so, I mean, with that element, like, it's pretty common. But
for
yeah,
sure.
I think it's safe to say that you don't... It's pretty rare to see a Native American character... I can't even think of a Samoan character now that I think about.
Wait, no, there's one.
Samoan?
Yeah, there's one in Overwatch.
Really?
Is there?
I think so. Maybe.
Wow.
I might be wrong. I think
Wow. Samoan or Hawaiian or Fijian or
Well, it doesn't matter. Pacific Islanders.
Pacific Islanders.
I have
represent.
no idea.
I mean,
I
there's-
think maybe. I think the dude, the Roadhog, I think might be.
He looked like he had some tribal tattoos or something, but doesn't he have like a gas mask?
Yeah. He's got a gas
I've never heard him
mask.
speak.
But one of his,
That would probably help.
well, one of his like, if you unlock his like not ultimate, if you unlock his alternative costume, it's that Samoan like.
Oh, did he do like haka and stuff? Like,
I hope so.
I'm not
that would be
sure.
awesome.
Honestly,
Might have to play Overwatch.
I don't play it.
Well,
As him.
I have to say, I think we unlocked a conversation for another time, and I think this is a good place to wrap it up. Orion, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll have to do this again. I really
Absolutely.
enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me.
Right.
Raising the Typhoon!